Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
Number 29 on the 49ers roster countdown is rookie. Maybe one of the most electrifying and fun rookies we've had in a little bit on the offensive side. Wide receiver Danny Gray, 6'2". Those numbers are a little off. That's what he had listed in his 6'2", 200. He's actually 5'11" and 7/8 and 186 pounds. Came in a little light, which is pretty typical for wide receivers in skill positions at the combine. 23 years old, a little bit of an older rookie. We'll go through his journey why. And when you walk away from today's video, we're going to show you some film. We're going to go through how he got to the NFL, what he can do for the 49ers, most importantly in 2022, which is the whole reason of this list, and long-term. Because I think, with most rookie wide receivers, unless you're a top-flight guy, usually you're a reserve role, which I think is what's going to happen with Danny Gray in 2022. But the thing about him is, even though he's going to be a backup wide receiver, not one of the starting three, the electricity and depth that he brings is going to be different because the 49ers have not had this. And pair that up with Trey Lance's big arm, we're going to see some deep touchdowns this year from this awesome rookie wide receiver. Now, Danny Gray is a South Dallas kid, very close to where I taught and coached. James Madison High School, the Trojans in South Dallas, and dude just was a burner from the start. First team all-district player senior year at James Madison, state champion in the 100-meter dash and the 4x100 relay. That's Texas state championship. Dude can freaking flat out fly. I went back and looked up a lot of his track times. He won state with a 10.7, but his personal best is a 10.59. Unbelievable. 4x100, they ran a 41.6. The dude is just a baller. And if you look at, he had several GPS times tracked at SMU, over 22 miles per hour. And then at the Senior Bowl, he got clocked at 22.01, which very few guys hit that speed with their shoulder pads on or in games or whatever. There's speed, then there's Danny Gray speed. Now, is he going to be, the fastest player in the NFL? I don't think so, but I would be willing to argue probably the fastest player on the 49ers already. That's how fast this kid is. Like, it's different whenever you see him just turn that. He's got that sixth gear, and it shows. When you watch the film, it shows. Practice and minicamp, it showed. Sadly, he was the best player at rookie minicamp, and then he tweaked his hamstring, had to sit out for the rest of OTAs. Got a little too excited. Now, he was a 3-star recruit, and unfortunately, he was committed to play at Missouri in the Big Ten, but he did not qualify academically. This is one of the outliers with Danny Gray. Now, if you know anything about Danny Gray's past, not the best, how do I say this? Football and academics were not a priority early on, and it took time for him to get to the place where he understood how important it was for his career. So because of that, he had to go to Blinn Junior College for 2 years till he met the requirements. Then he went to SMU, and he chose SMU over TCU, Auburn, Baylor, Florida State, Mississippi State, so SEC schools, all that stuff. He wanted to stay closer to home, and has kind of been close to home his entire life. But once he showed up at SMU, it was over. Immediate starter, caught 33 passes, 448 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Was named that AAC Conference Senior, All-Conference Senior, senior year, 49 receptions, 803 yards, 9 touchdowns. And just, he's a straight freaking baller. He was named the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award member, and just literally had to fight and claw his way to get to the NFL. He shouldn't have been in the NFL. Now, if you just look at his, attributes, right? 5'11", 7/8, 29th percentile of wide receivers, 186 pounds, that's 16. Oh, let's throw up some film. Sorry about that. Now, if you want to watch all of this film and more, I have several things. That's up on Patreon, patreon.com. /49ers Rush Podcast. And again, so, if you want to hear my notes and what I'm explaining on each one of these plays and all that stuff, we've got several games of him up. Again, just head over to Patreon and you get instant access to all those once you do sign up. Now, his 40-yard dash, 4.33. That's in the top 94%. He thought he could hit 4.2 in the 4.2 range. If you run a 4.33 and you're not like completely elated, that should tell you something. Speed guy he's a speed guy. 34-inch vertical is good. 126-inch broad jump, top 82%. So he's lean, wiry build, but man, he's just a sprinter. He's a run. Now, here's the thing that, whenever I went through my draft profile before the 49ers drafted him, and, I was doing a lot of research. A lot of people kept calling him a track guy. That's wrong. That's wrong. He's a football player who happens to run track. And I've talked about this at length on the show. There's a big difference between track guys and football players who happen to run track. He is feisty. Look at this player right now that's playing. Dude fights over the middle consistently, and feisty is the word that just comes to mind. Whenever I'm doing my notes, I literally just type down or write down different adjectives that I feel when watching a player's film. Feisty, wiry, fighter. Like, these names just kept coming across the screen because he does dirty work. It's not like he's just a burner. He runs drags, in routes, stops over the middle. Like, he is fearless whenever he plays football. The 49ers had him in on an official interview before the draft. And my draft write-up, again, this is before the 49ers drafted him. Freak athlete with elite speed, great hands, attacks the ball consistently. He's got a drop problem, so why would I write great hands? One of the things that whenever I'm judging wide receiver film, I want to see somebody that goes and gets the ball. I don't want to see somebody that lets the ball continually get into their shoulder pads. I want a hand catcher with arms extended, and I saw that. Does he have an issue with drops? Yes, he does. He has 10 drops in 2 years, had 7 drops in 2021. That's not good. The 49ers don't really put a premium on that. You look at Debo, right? Got pretty close to leading the entire NFL in drops last year. It doesn't matter whenever you can bring all that extra after the catch, which Danny Gray can do. Not Debo style after the catch, though. He makes things happen with speed. And so he's a strider. So when those safeties come downhill to try to hit him, they miss because their pursuit angles are off. Absolute playmaker, can contribute right away as a rotational rookie, and I think he will. He tracks the ball well. The deep ball, which, he's a speed guy, and so you get some of these guys that are speed guys, but they can't track the ball whenever it's up in the air. He is very good at that. Manipulates, contorts his body well, tracks it very, very well. He was a Senior Bowl standout. 49ers love that. Elusive vision after the catch. I love the way that he runs. Now, a decent blocker, no issues with his blocking. And he's a fighter. He's a talker. He'll get it. He'll jaw with corners, which I love. He's got that kind of dog mentality. Needs improvement on his routes, but slants and fades, that's going to be his role early. And so when you're looking at rookies, how do they contribute? With him, it's speed. He comes in, you can put him outside, you can put him inside, he can play all 3 wide receiver positions. And literally, you just give him 4 routes, 4 to 5 routes, and just say, hey, man, Debo's tired, go in there, run a fade. Debo's, Ayuk's tired, go run a post. These simple routes, because the safeties have to respect what it is he brings to the table. He's just too damn fast. He was a 3-sport athlete at Lancaster, district MVP his junior year, football, basketball, track, as I said, state championship, all those things. He missed 2 seasons in college, 2 games in college with just nagging injuries, so no severe injury history whatsoever. You look at his career stats. 18 games, 82 receptions, 1,251 yards, 16.4 yards per reception. That's pretty dang good. 9 touchdowns. 6 rush attempts for 70 yards. So, again, his speed, you can do misdirection stuff. You can do screen stuff with him. I expect the 49ers to do a little bit of that. Now, my athletic comp for him, Brendan Lloyd. Their metrics and everything, the way they shake out, very, very similar. My play style comp is a current player, Antonio Callaway, but with more speed somehow. Antonio Callaway is really fast. Danny Gray's even faster. He signed his rookie deal, 4 years, $5.25 million. And look, dude was the best player on the field during rookie minicamp before he tweaked his hammy. My projections, he's going to play a significant role. Now, whenever we first drafted him, my assumption was he would be pressing Juwan Jennings for that number 3 wide receiver spot. I don't think that's the case anymore. Juwan Jennings coming off the best camp of any 49er on offense or defense. He seems to have almost solidified that wide receiver 3 role. So what is the role for Danny Gray on the 2022 49ers? He is going to give you depth at the wide receiver position that the 49ers have not had in quite a long time. Because you've got your starters. That's awesome. Debo, Ayuk, they're incredible. But last year, whenever they would come out of the game, they would send in Travis Benjamin and Trent Sherfield. Travis Benjamin ended the year with 0 catches, 0 receptions from your number 4 wide receiver. That's ridiculous. Maybe number 5. I don't care. Danny Gray is going to play a role. Will he be starting? No. He might finish the year with 0 starts. Now, if there's an injury, he would be the guy that would start on the outside. If there's an injury to any 3 wide receivers, this kid will start that position. My projections, my stat projections for Danny Gray, 32 receptions, 448 yards, 14 yards per catch. I wanted it to be 15, 16, but I wanted to tamper my expectations a little bit with 4 touchdowns. Now, you hear those numbers and you're like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. It would have been 4th most receptions last year behind Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle. That's more receptions than Juwan Jennings had last year. Now, I do think he will finish 5th most catches this year. Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and Jennings will all be ahead of him. But his yards per catch, that 14 number, that's going to be huge, where he's going to have 2 to 3 giant, 30-plus yard touchdown catches because he's just got to get behind the defense. Trey Lance can throw the deep ball, and it's just a perfect pairing. I mean, it's perfect. Trey to Gray, baby. We're going to see it. And long-term, this kid's got a chance to fit and be a perfect pairing with Trey. I'm excited for this kid. We've got him at number 29, despite being a 3rd-round pick. He's making the roster, guaranteed lock being a 3rd-rounder. It's going to be fun. And again, very similar to Drake Jackson. You don't have to have him be an every down player. You give him a small number of snaps and allow him to be successful with what he was built to do. That's the deep ball. Go get the freaking ball. That's what he's going to do. He's going to extend the coverages deep. You want to stack the box to try to stop the run like people did against the 49ers in 2021 playoffs? Cool. Awesome. You've got Danny Gray out there. He's going to run the freaking top off. It's catch, throw a bomb. It's going to force defenses to back up. So Danny Gray's a guy who, in limited snaps, I think you're probably only going to get about 20 snaps a game, especially early on, is going to make an impact. 1, your stud wide receivers are going to be healthy. 2, you got to respect the speed. Even if he's not getting targets, does not matter. His impact will be felt in the running game and soft coverages underneath. When that kid, you see number, which again, his number is interesting. I respect, the 86, but whenever he comes in, you're going to see 86 out there, and defenses are going to see and point to, hey, we got burner, and they're going to back up. And that's what speed can do. Speed kills, and it puts so much stress and leverages the defense vertically that helps the running offense in the short term, helps the underneath routes, helps all those things. Danny Gray is going to be a find, and very easy to fall in love with this kid because of what he can do for the 49ers offense. We haven't seen it. Going from Jimmy to Trey, I love Jimmy Garoppolo, and it turned around the program for the 49ers for sure. But, man, deep ball was not his thing. Trey got a freaking cannon, and now we get to see that cannon put to use. I want to say thank you to Josh and Anthony, producers of this series. And, man, 29, wide receiver Danny Gray on the 49ers roster countdown. And we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep counting them down.